Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Abbey Stadium. Norwich City continue their pre-season action against Cambridge United. League One opposition for them tonight after League One on Saturday. Paddy, I don't know if anyone's mentioned it, but it's a little bit hot, a little bit warm, isn't it? I think we clocked 37 degrees as we walked into the stadium. A little under half an hour ago. It's going to be a hot evening, and I don't feel sorry for professional footballers very often, but running around in that, I definitely do.
You stole my line, Connor, but I'll allow you. Yeah, I mean, this is the one night I wouldn't want to be a professional footballer. Quite happy maybe with a bank balance, if I'm honest, but definitely not, because as soon as we came out of our air-conditioned car from Norwich, it was like an oven, and it's still oppressive. I said it to you, actually, as we walked along the main stand here. In 10 plus years of covering games for Norwich, don't recall it being as hot as this. So, I mean, just as I say that, it looks like the sun is dipping, so that those Norwich players on duty tonight will be desperate for a bit of shade. But even allowing for that, it is oppressively hot. And, Dean Smith, when asked about potential for temperatures tonight, after Saturday's game in France, said, well, it's not going to be much different. It probably isn't going to be much different. And to give him his due, he made the point, their fitness levels look pretty good, I thought, on Saturday afternoon against Marseille in that heat. So if we see more of that again tonight, it really does, I think, underline that they've really got the fitness work into them, and they'll need that block of base fitness moving forward when it maybe is less cooler or a little bit cooler, but the gruelling nature of the Championship takes over. So, we're still yet to get the team news, but I think we all just hope it's a continuation of what we saw on Saturday, which was a very, very cohesive performance with a lot of positives individually and collectively.
Yeah, if we move out of the way a little bit, you'll be able to see the Abbey Stadium behind me. The sprinklers are on. I think the water's actually drying before it hits the ground. That's how warm it is here this evening. But the pitch is in wonderful condition. Certainly no complaints on that front. No sign of the team news yet, Pad. So what we will do is we'll talk about Christoph Zimmermann, Norwich City defender, of course, the first German that they signed, I believe, in 2017, one of the first signings of the Stuart Webber and Daniel Farke era. Paddy looks set to be leaving the club. Probably doesn't feel like a drastic shock, but still someone who, when we think back to this Daniel Farke era at Norwich City, he will be remembered fondly as quite a main character within that.
It is an end of an era, really is. I think Mario Vrancic was Daniel's first signing, but I think Zimmer, if he wasn't the first, which I don't think he was the second or third. Just as I say that, the team news.
Yeah, and I'll read it for you now. Norwich are starting with Michael McGovern in goal, Aarons, Tompkinson, Hanley, and your new list, the back four: Rowe, Sorensen, Lees-Malou, Hernandez, Ida, and Pukki. So that looks like a 4-4-2 to me. So I'll read that again. Michael McGovern in goal, Max Aarons, Jonathan Tompkinson, Grant Hanley, and Dimitris Giannoulis, the back four: Rowe on the right, Hernandez on the left, it looks like to this. Sorensen and Lees-Malou, the two central midfielders, with Adam Ida, his first start for Norwich City in pre-season, alongside Timu Pukki. The subs bench: Gunn, Krul, Omer Bamadeli, McCallum, McLean, Gibbs, Springett, Campbell, Rashica, Sargent, and Jordan Hugill. So that's heavily rotated, Pads. Probably expected given the turnaround and the heat, but also the fact that we've got a double-header in Scotland coming up as well. So this is Dean Smith really utilising probably all of his options from the off, and some players in there who perhaps he hasn't had a great look at over the course of this summer.
And principally, you named him Adam Ida being the one for me. Really be interesting to see how he goes tonight. No Byram again, and that clearly has to be a concern. We'll endeavour to get an update off Dean after the game, but off the top of my head, is that 3 friendlies now we've not seen him? It's not a good look when Barley Mumma's been allowed to go to Plymouth, and Max is still subject of potentially interest between now and the end of the window. So a little bit of a cause for concern there. Hopefully Dean Smith allays that. But other than that, no Zara as well. I think that probably would have been a bit ambitious. But seeing that training video they put out today, he doesn't look like a man who's too far away. So whether Scotland, we might see him for a little cameo or not. But yeah, of the ones involved tonight, both the other keepers are on the bench, so you think they'd rotate. I think Dean did say we'd get to the stage where he wants to sort of manage minutes to a point where players are getting 60, 70, 75. So, clearly an Adam Ida won't play that amount, I wouldn't imagine, tonight. But there's players there who need minutes, and then others who need them top. Interesting again, if we think it is the 4-4-2, that's another slightly different shape. And now we're starting to see maybe that tactical flexibility that, is going to keep opponents second guessing. It isn't going to be a very rigid 4-3-3, I don't think, every week. Because now that's 3 or 4 different formations, because I think it was 3 on Saturday. You're throwing in a 4-4-2 now, and that's that's an intriguing element to tonight. What does the 4-4-2 like? If it is Ida and Pukki, given Saturday second half it was Pukki and Hugel. So, battles within battles, competitive areas within the squad. It's all shaping up nicely, and another opportunity for Jacob Sorensen tonight. He put down a claim, capped by that wonderful goal in France. There's probably an opportunity there for him between now and Cardiff. With no Hayden, with no, you'd assume, Sarah in terms of a start to Cardiff. Jacob Sorensen again with another impressive performance. Maybe just nudges himself up forward with probably Kenny McLean, I think.
Yeah, I'm just looking down that list now. Some players who we haven't seen too much of. Tomkinson obviously hasn't had a great deal of minutes. Young, who's under-23s captain last season. Grant Hanley hasn't played a lot of football since he returned. Same for Dimitris Giannoulis. Not seen too much of John Rowe, particularly in the past couple of games. He actually played for the under-23s against... No Gibson as well. We'll try and get an update on that after the game as well. Lise Malou hasn't played an awful lot of football. Hernandez came on and looked quite bright against Marseille. Of course, set up that third goal for Jordan Hugill. It does feel, like you say, probably the final bit of rotation that we'll see ahead of the weekend, where Norwich will probably look to get 90 minutes into players at Celtic and Hibs. But as I kind of said earlier in the week, it shows the absurdity of the size of the squad they've got, that they can go to Scotland and field two separate 11s in two separate games in 2 separate days.
Yeah, and I think probably tonight, Dean Smith may have had a plan in mind how this game looked, but the oppressive nature of the conditions, you've got to surely factor that into your thoughts in terms of selection and who gets minutes and how many minutes. So, yeah, maybe it probably wasn't in his mind's eye that exact 11, but you look down there and you look at the goal threat, Ida and Pukki. Probably, as it stands, the first choice fullbacks if we got to Cardiff unscathed with Aarons and Giannoulis. Hanley, I'd expect to be in that 11 for Cardiff. And as we said earlier, Sorensen really has an opportunity. If it is going to be McLean, there's probably 2 other spots if you're going with a 3, maybe 1 if you're going with a central 2. So, really interesting to see. I think for me, looking at that 11, it's the wide areas and the top end of the pitch, how that knits together, because I think those players, maybe Ida less so, but those other 3, you would think would be firmly in Dean Smith's thoughts for Cardiff. And it really does, again, for me, given we've talked about there's no Gibson tonight, there's no Byram. Obviously, Hayden's unavailable. Zara yet to be plugged in. The embarrassment of riches that the guy has got for a championship season ahead, to have that quality in that lineup tonight and on the bench, and then players still to come back in. Yes, there'll be a natural, probably, evolution, and we were just talk a little bit about Zimmerman there, who's not obviously anywhere near it tonight. I think that's a signal in itself where his future probably lies. But even with a natural kind of shedding of 1 or 2 of the fringe players between now and the end of the window, that still feels and looks, and on the evidence what we saw in Marseille, a very, very competitive championship squad.
Yeah, no Christos Solis in that squad either, which is very interesting, given we know there's interest in him from Club Bruges, among others. Just on Sorensen very quickly, and this kind of feeds into the conversation we were having about Christoph Zimmer, and he is a versatile player. We know that. Is there a possibility that he gets cast in that kind of 4th centre-back position if as we expect, Christoph Zimmer does complete a move to Darmstadt in the coming days and weeks?
Tomkinson.
Sorensen, but also Tomkinson.
Yeah, I was just thinking, talking about versatility. I think Tomkinson's had a couple of options at right back as well, hasn't he, in this pre-season? So that feels like you've got a versatile player. And of course, Sorensen is Mr. Versatile, left back in that championship title winning season, centre back in the Premier League, and back in his, we assume, central midfield position tonight. Yeah, I think that's probably, we'll get a firm update from Dean Smith, who we expect confirm Christoph Zimmerman is no longer part of his plans moving forward, and then what that looks like in terms of the cover he's got. But he clearly feels, subject to us telling us he's in for another centre-back, which we don't believe to be the case, that, your frontline options, Hanley, Tomkinson, Gibson on the Bama Daily, and then if required, Sorensen, but also Sam Byram can play there, and did towards the end of the Premier League season. So you can kind of see, in terms of the central defensive dynamic, why. And of course, the flip side is maybe Zimmerman's come to him and said, look, he only played 5 games last season. If he's come to him and said, I really want at this stage of my career to be playing regularly, and then it's a win-win. They can engineer an exit for him where it suits all parties, basically.
Yeah, I spoke to Christoph Zimmerman. He was giving a talk at the UEA when I spoke to him, and I got the sense there as someone who had itchy feet in terms of the lack of minutes that he played last season. Obviously, some of that due to injury. I think there was probably an acceptance as well that the change in manager probably hasn't helped him too much as well. But if we just close off on that strike partnership, because it's one that caused a great deal of excitement at the start of this year, which feels like ages ago now. Adam Ida and Teemu Pukki. Ida kind of, as he does, really exploded onto the scene. Of course, then an injury hampered that. We've not really seen him since. He played for the 23s on Friday, so there might be a little bit of a kind of rawness to his game because of those fitness issues. But that front two has already proven that it can be quite deadly at maybe even Premier League level.
And it's no surprise that Dean Smith, as soon as he feels able with Ida, wanted to get a look at that again, because it's all academic now. But the way they were starting to spark, the Everton game, notably Adam Ida's first Premier League goal of his career. But even before that, he was good at West Ham away that night in January. And then, of course, the Watford game, where they were part of a very comprehensive away win. And then I think it was the next game, Crystal Palace, he got the knee issue and we didn't see him again. So, yeah, I'd imagine what Adam Ida showed in that brief January cameo would have whetted Dean Smith's appetite. And, of course, he was playing because he had the trust of Dean Smith. And for Adam Ida, who probably didn't feel he had that under Daniel Farke, it was team who plays, team who's fit, team who plays. Clearly that showed him definitively, no, I value you. I believe you can start games for Norwich, albeit now in the Championship. So it will be really, to me, that's the most fascinating aspect of that 11 tonight, is how those two start to spark again. And if there's evidence of something there, then, I know Jordan Hugel has put his case forward, but you could really see Ida and Pukki in the mix for Cardiff for me. And I didn't think, conversely, Josh Sargent really put his case forward first half in France. He didn't really grasp his opportunity. So, he moves to the side. Adam Ida comes in tonight. Probably worth reiterating, though, given he only played 30 minutes, I think, on Friday in that development game in this heat as well. Unlikely we'd see much more than 30 minutes. So it may be relatively small sample, but if there's evidence of him and Pukki on the same wavelength again, that really is exciting moving forward for when the real business swings into view.
Yeah, we're here tonight, so you don't have to be. 37 degrees, as we said when we arrived at the ground. Full coverage on pinkin.com. We've got a live blog over there on the app as well, if you get to try that out. We're also going to be in Scotland for the weekend doubleheader, Celtic against Hibernian, which, Paddy, is quite exciting, isn't it? Trip to Scotland?
Well, I'm excited. You said it was 19 degrees up there, the forecast. That'll suit me, yeah. Because this is not my temperature. And
you and me,
with your hair colour, I don't think this is your temperature.
This is what I was going to say. I've got the wrong hair colour for it. We'll end, because there are Norwich fans filling up that end. So if Paddy scurries out of the way, then we might be able to get a shot of that yellow and green painted stand behind that goal. Norwich City will hopefully be scoring some goals in tonight. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.